My dad handed my late mom's house to his new wife. I went to court to stop it but lost. My mom left no will. Years later, she sold it for cash, but fate had its own twist. Have you ever faced a betrayal so deep, so utterly gut-wrenching, that it came from the person you trusted most in the world? My own father. The man who was supposed to protect me, gave my deceased mother's home, the house she loved, to his new wife, a woman who spent years erasing every trace of my mom's memory. And then, as if fate itself was watching, karma delivered a twist so shocking, so utterly satisfying, you just won't believe it. Look, things weren't always like this. Once upon a time, my life felt normal. Happy, even. Sundays were sacred in our house. My mom, a nurse, would juggle her hectic schedule, and my dad, working construction, would often be gone, but Sundays? Sundays were ours. Massive stacks of chocolate chip pancakes. Mom always let me add way too many, then we'd plop in front of the TV, watching dumb cartoons. Dad, pretending to read the paper, would end up laughing louder than me at the silly jokes. Our cozy home, a gift from my grandparents to Mom when she was pregnant with me, was just full of life. Mom had this huge family calendar on the fridge, remember everyone's birthdays, planned holidays, made sure we had traditions. Like driving around looking at Christmas lights with hot chocolate every year. Little stuff, you know? Stuff that didn't seem important then, but now? Now it means everything. Then, when I was 13, Mom started getting these headaches. At first, we brushed it off as stress. But then she started forgetting things, and that was so not Mom. Dad took her to the doctor. 2 weeks later, our world shattered. Brain cancer. Not the we caught it early kind. The aggressive, already spread, devastating kind. Everything happened so fast. Treatment made her sicker. I remember visiting her in the hospital, barely recognizing her. 8 months after that diagnosis, she was gone. I was just 13, almost 14. One day, I had a mom. The next, I just didn't. Dad completely fell apart. He tried to hide it from me, but I'd hear him crying in their bedroom at night. He started drinking. A lot. Honestly, for a while there, I was raising myself. The house, once so full of laughter, became this silent, depressing museum of Mom. We existed, but we didn't live. I learned to do laundry from YouTube. Survived on takeout. Sometimes, we'd just sit there, staring at Mom's empty chair. I started spending more time at friends' houses, anything to escape the suffocating sadness. Dad threw himself into work, picking up extra shifts. Neither of us knew how to talk about it, so we just didn't. About a year after Mom died, something shifted. I came home one day to find Dad actually cleaning. Like, really cleaning. He'd even gotten a haircut. That's when he told me he'd met someone at work. Let's call her S. Her husband had left her years ago. They'd had coffee a couple of times. I remember feeling this weird mix of relief. He finally seemed more like himself, but also this sharp stab of betrayal on Mom's behalf. Which, I know, is stupid. What was he supposed to do? Be alone forever? But I was 14. Everything felt like the end of the world. Dad started dating S. At first, it was quiet, away from me. Then, he asked if she could come over for dinner. Sure, I mumbled, because what else was I going to say? She brought me a video game I'd mentioned wanting. Seemed nice enough. Laughed at Dad's dumb jokes. Asked about school without being pushy. She had 2 older kids, a son, Jay, who was 17, in college, and a daughter, M, 18, working retail. I didn't meet them then. That first dinner was awkward, but not terrible. Dad, though? He seemed happier than I'd seen him in a long, long time. Then, S started coming around more. A couple of times a week. Then suddenly, she was there every night. Cooking dinner. Acting like she owned the place. I tried to be cool, tried to be happy for Dad. Honestly, it was nice having real meals again. About 3 weeks after I first met her, S dropped the first bomb. We were at dinner. She'd made lasagna that was nowhere near as good as Mom's, but I kept my mouth shut. Then she looked at me, all serious, and said, "You know, if you ever wanted to call me Mom, that would be okay with me." I nearly choked on my food. Dad just sat there, this dumb smile plastered on his face like she'd said the most wonderful thing ever. I mumbled, "Thanks, but I'm good," and excused myself. That night, I pulled out old photo albums, staring at pictures of my actual mom until I fell asleep. Things moved way too fast. Within 6 months, S was practically living with us. Her kids would visit on weekends. They were in their early 20s, but acted like entitled teenagers, leaving their messes everywhere, expecting their mom to clean up. They barely ever talked to me. Dad and S got engaged about a year after they started dating. He took me out for burgers, telling me before he proposed. I wanted to be happy for him, I really did. But all I could think was, it hadn't even been 2 years since Mom died. When I didn't immediately jump for joy, he pulled out the classic, "Your mom would want us to be happy" line. What was I going to do? So, I faked a smile. The wedding was small, in our backyard. S said it was becoming her home. I saw Mom's parents, my grandparents, trying to hold it together. Grandma pulled me aside. Her words, a whispered warning, "This house is your mother's legacy. Don't forget that." I didn't understand then. After the wedding, it started subtly. A new couch. Different curtains. Little changes. Then one day, it hit me like a punch to the gut. Mom's favorite reading chair? Gone. Donated. Our family photos? Rearranged. Dad and S's wedding pictures front and center, Mom's shoved into the hallway. Even my growth chart, the one Mom had meticulously marked every year, painted over. Erased. S wasn't just redecorating. She was erasing Mom. And Dad? He let it happen. I finally snapped when I saw Mom's gardening stuff in a box, headed for Goodwill. "Why are you getting rid of her things?" I demanded. S gave me that fake, sympathetic look. "Sweetie, it's been almost 2 years. We need to move forward as a family." Dad backed her up. "It's time to heal." I wanted to scream. Getting rid of Mom's stuff wasn't healing, it was erasing her. I just grabbed the box and took it to my room. S's kids treated our house like a free hotel. J, 22, crashed on the couch after partying. M, 23, used our laundry like a laundromat. They made messes, I got lectures. When I was 16, Jay broke up with his girlfriend and suddenly needed a place to stay. Guess whose room he got? Mine. My childhood bedroom. I was moved to the smaller guest room. S painted over my wall, covering Mom's growth chart with this ugly gray. When I got upset, Dad told me I was being selfish. "You need to be more welcoming to your new brother." Brother? This dude never said more than 10 words to me. S was always sweet as pie when Dad was around. Snacks while I studied. Asking about my day. All that cheesy stepmom TV movie crap. But when Dad wasn't there, she was a different person. Passive-aggressive comments about my messiness, how I didn't appreciate all she did. She'd go through my stuff, just cleaning. Dad either didn't notice or didn't care. He was so wrapped up in his new perfect family he couldn't see what was happening. Anytime I tried to bring it up, he'd give me this disappointed look. So eventually, I just stopped trying. I focused on school, got a part-time job, and counted down the days until I could move out. When I was 17, I overheard S and Dad talking. Making it official. I thought they meant adopting her kids or something equally absurd. But then I heard S say, "I just don't feel like this is really our house when it still has her name on the deed." That's when it clicked. She wanted Dad to put her name on Mom's house. The house my grandparents gave to Mom, not to Dad. I didn't say anything. I was so close to graduating, so close to getting the heck out. I was just a kid. What did I know about house deeds? The second I graduated, I was out. Found a cheap apartment with a roommate, about 30 minutes away. Close enough to visit Dad, far enough to avoid S. Dad seemed sad I was moving out so young, but honestly, it wasn't home anymore. It was just a house where strangers lived, one of whom happened to be my dad. For 2 years, I kept my head down. Community college. Warehouse job. I'd visit Dad every couple of weeks, timing it for when S was at yoga or whatever. We'd watch sports, grab a burger. An unspoken agreement, no talk about S, no talk about the house. Looking back, that was a massive mistake. Hindsight, right? S still put on her perfect act when I saw her. All hugs and "we miss you around here." Once, she even baked cookies for my visit. She'd never baked a single darn cookie when I lived there. Dad, though, he ate it up. Always looking at me hopefully, like, "See, she's trying." I'd just smile, nod, and count the minutes until I could leave. Her kids were still around, well into their 20s. J, still selling weed from what used to be my bedroom. M, cycling through jobs, but always with money for new clothes. S, of course, treated them like amazing, successful adults. What really infuriated me was how Mom's parents, my grandparents, stopped coming over. They used to visit constantly when Mom was alive. Even after she died, they came for me and Dad. But after S moved in, the visits got awkward, then stopped. Grandma just said, "It's too hard to see everything changed." I started meeting them for lunch instead, away from that house. Then S started taking over holidays. Mom had always gone all out for Thanksgiving and Christmas. Special decorations. Traditional recipes. S threw it all out. New traditions. Different food. Even moved celebrations to accommodate her kids' schedules. I visited less and less. It was too painful seeing Mom's house, her sacred space, transformed into something I didn't recognize. Dad noticed. He started meeting me for lunch. But every conversation somehow circled back to how great S was, or some accomplishment of her kids. Jay's thinking about real estate. AKA, still selling weed from his bedroom. Meanwhile, I was actually in school, working my butt off, living independently. But that was never as impressive. About a year ago, Grandma got sick. Pneumonia. In the hospital. I went to visit her. She took my hand, looked me dead in the eye. "Your mother wanted you to have that house someday. It was her home, and she wanted it to be your home, too." I was stunned. No one had ever talked about the house's future. I just assumed it would go to Dad. After Grandma recovered, I casually brought it up with Dad. He got this weird look, changed the subject real quick. That's when I knew something was up. Dad's a terrible liar. His ears get red, he talks too fast. All the signs were there. I started paying more attention. Noticed legal papers from a lawyer's office he tried to hide. Overheard S on the phone, talking about making sure everything's in order and protecting our assets. My gut screamed something shady was happening. Then, my cousin let something slip. S had been asking about Mom's will. Alarm bells. Why would S care about Mom's will, unless she was worried about her claim to the house? I did some digging. Mom probably didn't have a will. She was only 39. Everything just automatically went to Dad. Which, legally, made sense. But it didn't feel right. The house came from Mom's family. It was her house. I talked to Mom's side of the family. They were all upset, watching S erase Mom, but felt like they couldn't say anything. My aunt finally told me, "We've been waiting for you to stand up." So, there I was, stewing, trying to figure out how to talk to Dad without sounding greedy. This wasn't about money. It was about Mom's legacy. But before I could find the words, Dad dropped a bomb. He called, asking me to dinner. Said he wanted to talk future planning. I almost said no, but he sounded serious. I got to the house. S was there, of course. Both her kids too. Red flag number 1. This wasn't casual. Good dishes were out. S had made an elaborate meal. Everyone was weirdly nice, even Jay. The whole vibe was off. My stomach was in knots. Dinner conversation was awkward small talk. I waited for Dad to bring up the future planning. He waited until dessert. Classic dad. Drop the bad news when everyone's full and relaxed. After S served some fancy cheesecake, definitely store-bought, she can't bake for crap, Dad cleared his throat. Son. I've been thinking a lot about the future lately. About what happens to everything when I'm gone. Great start to a fun conversation, right? S squeezed his hand, all supportive. Her kids suddenly glued to their phones. Dad continued, I've been meeting with a financial advisor and a lawyer to get everything in order. He paused, waiting for praise. That's good, I said, because what else do you say? Then he dropped it. The words landed like lead weights. We've decided that when I pass, the house will go to S. The rest of my assets, retirement accounts, investments, insurance, will be split equally between you, J, and M. I must have looked like he'd slapped me. He quickly added, it's the fairest way. S needs somewhere to live, and this way, everyone gets an equal share. I sat there, processing. My mom's house. The house she loved. My childhood home. Going to S. And I was getting an equal share with her kids, who had no connection to Dad except that he married their mom. J and M, who had 2 parents and 2 inheritances already. This was my mom's house, I heard myself say, my voice sharp. Her parents gave it to her, not to you. S, of course, put on her fake sympathy. Sweetie, I know this is emotional for you, but legally, don't call me sweetie. I snapped. And don't pretend this is about fairness. Your kids have their own family, their own father. This house has nothing to do with you. Dad got that disappointed look. Son, I understand you're upset, but S is my wife now. I need to make sure she's taken care of. She could be taken care of without getting mom's house. I argued. You have life insurance, retirement accounts. Why does she need this specific house? The house that came from my mom's family? M chimed in. It's about fairness. We're a family. I laughed. A bitter, hollow sound. No, we're not. You already have 2 parents. 2 inheritances. You never lived here. You have no claim to this house. Jay muttered something. Selfish prick. I ignored him. Dad tried to calm things down. Said he'd provide for me in other ways. Maybe I could get his car, a falling apart 2010 Honda, and some cash. I don't want your car, I said, my hands shaking. I don't want your money. I want my mom's house to stay in her family, like she would have wanted. Like her parents wanted when they gave it to her. S got teary-eyed, doing her best victim impression. I've tried so hard to make this a home for all of us. I've tried to be a mother to you. You're not my mother. I yelled. And this isn't your home. You've spent years erasing every trace of my mom from this house. You've thrown away her things, changed everything she loved, even painted over my growth chart. And now you want to take her house, too? Dad was getting angry. That's enough. S has been nothing but good to you. She's my wife, and this is our home now. I've made my decision, and that's final. Something broke inside me. I stood up, hands shaking, a cold fury rising. If you're giving mom's house to them, then I don't want anything from you. Not a penny. You can leave everything to your new family. Dad looked shocked, like he couldn't believe I wasn't just rolling over. You don't mean that. You're just upset. I do mean it, I said, my voice steady now. Mom would be heartbroken to see her house go to people who never knew her, who've erased every trace of her. Her parents would be devastated. S tried her peacemaker routine. No one's trying to erase your mother, sweetie. We're just moving forward as a family. Stop calling me sweetie. I shouted. And stop pretending you care about my mom's memory. If you did, you wouldn't be so eager to take her house away from her only child. Jay stood up, trying to be the big man. Don't talk to my mom like that in her own house. It's not her house. I yelled back. That's the whole damn point. Dad slammed his hand on the table. That's enough. This is still my house, and I won't have shouting. I grabbed my keys. Where are you going? Dad asked. Home, I said. My actual home. Not this place that used to be home but isn't anymore. You're being childish, he retorted. We need to discuss this like adults. There's nothing to discuss. You've made your decision. You've chosen them over Mom's memory. Over me. Over what's right. I can't stop you, but I don't have to pretend I'm okay with it. As I got into my car, S came out, calling, think about what you're doing. Your father loves you. Don't throw away your relationship over property. I almost laughed at the irony. She was telling me not to throw away relationships over property? I drove off, feeling like I was going to either puke or cry. My phone started blowing up immediately. Texts from Dad, from S, even from her kids, all telling me I was selfish, I'd hurt them, I needed to apologize. I turned my phone off. My roommate took one look at my face and knew. I stayed up all night, angry, sad. Most of all, just profoundly sad that Mom's house, the last real connection to her, was going to be taken over. The next morning, Dad called. I think you owe us an apology. Those were his first words. Not I'm sorry. Not let's figure this out. Just straight to me apologizing to her. Are you serious right now? I asked. After what you told me yesterday, you think I'm the one who needs to apologize? You were disrespectful to my wife in our home, he insisted. It's not her home. I yelled back. That's the whole damn problem here. We went back and forth, talking in circles. He kept insisting he needed to protect S's future. That I was being selfish. I kept trying to explain there were other ways to provide for her without giving her my mom's house. If Mom were here, would she want this? I asked, looking him dead in the eye. He hesitated. Just for a second. She'd want me taken care of. That was it. He wasn't protecting himself. He was just giving S what she wanted, using Mom as an excuse. We both know that's not true, I said quietly. Mom would want her house to stay in her family. She'd want it to go to me, eventually. I'm trying to be fair to everyone, he insisted. No, I said. You're trying to make S happy at my expense. And if that's your choice, fine. But don't expect me to pretend I'm okay with it. I hung up. A few minutes later, S texted. Blah, blah, blah. I didn't respond. I met Dad a week later at a diner. Neutral territory. He looked tired. For a second, I almost felt bad. Then I remembered Mom's house. I told him this wasn't about money. It was about Mom's memory being systematically erased. I reminded him how the house came from Mom's family. I listed all the changes S had made. He shifted, avoided my eyes. Deep down, he knew. I offered a compromise, S could live there after he passed. I wasn't a monster. But the house should be legally in my name. Stay in Mom's family. He just stared at his coffee. When he finally looked up, his expression was blank. Nothing I said had made a difference. He spouted more BS about protecting S, about Mom wanting him to be happy. That's when I lost it. Not yelling, but in that cold, scary, calm way that's almost worse. You have no right to speak for Mom anymore, I told him. Not when you've spent years letting another woman erase every trace of her from her home. The Mom I knew would be heartbroken. He tried that but we're family card. S's kids are adults with their own dad. They never lived in that house as children. How does it make sense that they will inherit from 4 parents? When I could see I wasn't getting through, I went for my last resort. I'll talk to a lawyer about our options. His face went through shock, hurt, anger, finally settling on that cold disappointment parents specialize in. I can't believe you'd consider suing your own father over property, he said. If money is more important than family, then maybe I've misjudged your character. That stung. But I pushed back. Is a house more important to you than your relationship with your only child? I'm not asking for money. I want Mom's house to stay in her family where it belongs. We argued for 2 hours. Neither of us would budge. He said he'd think about it. Asked me to dinner. S is making your favorite. She has no idea what my favorite food is. I told him I needed space. He seemed more upset about me declining dinner. When I got home, S had left 3 missed calls. Classic. I didn't call back. The next day, I updated my mom's parents. Grandma cried on the phone, telling stories about how they'd saved for years to give Mom that house, how they pictured it staying in the family for generations. That made me even more determined. Then, the final, crushing blow. My roommate's girlfriend, who works at a law firm, helped me look up property records. Dad had already added S to the deed of the house 3 years ago. While I was still living there. He never mentioned it. Just quietly signed over half of Mom's house to his new wife. That felt like a knife to the gut. That's when I made my decision. No more keeping the peace. I was going to fight for Mom's house. For her memory. For everything that house represented. If Dad wanted a legal battle, he was going to get one. I met with a lawyer. Gathered everything. Old photos, family records, even sympathy cards mentioning the house. Mom's family backed me. Dad found out. Called me screaming. You're betraying me. Mom would be ashamed. I stayed calm. You left me no choice. You betrayed Mom's memory. If you won't do the right thing, I have to fight for it. My cousin told me Dad and S were telling everyone I was money-hungry, jealous. Painting me as the bad guy. The lawyer said it would be tough. No will meant everything legally went to Dad. And since he'd already added S to the deed, we were fighting an uphill battle. The legal battle was brutal and quick. Like ripping off a band-aid, but the band-aid was my relationship with my dad, and it took all the skin with it. My case fell apart in court. The judge ruled that Dad could leave the house to whoever he wanted. I was devastated, but not surprised. The legal system isn't designed to protect what's morally right. It protects what's technically legal. Losing the case sucked. But seeing Dad sit next to S, not even looking at me, was worse. When the judge ruled in their favor, S smirked. Dad just walked out. That was the last time I ever saw my dad alive. I went completely no contact. Blocked everyone. Deleted social media. Mom's parents supported me. Some bridges can't be rebuilt, Grandpa said. He was right. Some betrayals go too deep. For about a year, I just focused on rebuilding my life. Finished my degree. Got a better job. Moved to a nicer apartment. Started dating someone amazing. Life was moving forward. The wound wasn't healed, but it had scabbed over. Then I got the call. Dad had a massive heart attack at work. Dead before the ambulance arrived. He was only 54. Despite everything, it hit me like a freight train. I sat on my kitchen floor and sobbed for hours. All the anger, all the resentment, got buried under a tidal wave of grief. He was still my dad. We had 16 good years before Mom died. Those memories still meant something. The funeral was awkward as heck. S played the devastated widow perfectly. Her kids looked solemn, but I saw Jay checking his phone during the eulogy. I stayed in the back. Didn't speak. Didn't join the receiving line. Most people gave me a wide berth, like my grief was contagious. S didn't speak to me, which was fine. I wasn't there for her. I was there to say goodbye to my dad. About 3 months after the funeral, I drove by the house. A for sale sign in the yard. S hadn't even waited a decent interval. Mom's home. My childhood home. Just another asset to liquidate. I didn't try to fight it this time. What was the point? Dad was gone. The legal battle was lost. I was finally starting to heal. Better to let it go. Then, the universe decided to step in. A few months later, I heard through the grapevine what happened. S had listed the house way too high. Convinced she'd cash out big. But the market dipped. And by the time she lowered the price, she walked away with way less than she expected. Turns out, karma isn't just a concept. It's a financial reality check. And her kids? Jay blew through his share in record time. First on some crypto scam, then on his business venture, selling weed more openly. 2 arrests later, he's couch surfing, on probation. M bought a luxury car she couldn't afford. Totaled it while texting. Tried to sue the other driver, who just happened to be the son of the town's top lawyer. She lost everything. As for S? She took her cut, ran off to Florida with some online boyfriend, and got smacked with a massive IRS bill for tax fraud. Turns out my aunt, who works in county records, helped uncover that little lie. Now S is back in town, working a minimum wage job. Whining about how unfair life is. Even her kids cut her off once the money dried up. Oh, and the new owners of the house? They tore it down. Built something completely different. In a weird way, that's almost better. I don't have to drive by and see strangers living in Mom's house. It's just, gone. Like that chapter of my life. My grandparents, Mom's parents, they're still here. When I told Grandma about S's spectacular fall from grace, she just nodded. Your mother always believed what goes around comes around. I think Mom would be satisfied with how things played out. I'm actually doing pretty well now. Got engaged to my girlfriend last month. We're saving for our own house. Nothing fancy. Just something that's ours. Something I'll make damn sure stays in our family, with a proper will and everything. I still miss Mom. I still have complicated feelings about Dad. Sometimes I dream about the house, not as it was when S took over, but as it was when Mom was alive. Sunday pancakes. Movie nights. Mom's garden in full bloom. The house is gone. That can't be changed. But in the end, S and her kids got exactly what they deserved for how they treated Mom's memory. They took something precious and meaningful and treated it like an ATM. Now they have nothing. No house. No money. No relationship with each other. Turns out Mom was right about one more thing. She always told me that material things don't last. But karma? Karma never forgets. Sometimes, you don't need revenge. You just need to live long enough to watch the universe handle it. What do you guys think? Have you ever had to step away from family because of something like this, only to see karma eventually catch up? I'd love to hear your stories in the comments below.